Hi, everybody. This is Tom with Culture Chap. So, today I want to talk to you about low tech theater. So, special effects on stage that have low tech. So, I am in the middle of reading some stuff online with a show happening overseas that I'm not a part of. And it's a long story, but there were probably problems in the budget, which is happening to everybody, and problems with the creativity. So, I can't divulge everything they're doing, but there needs to be magic on stage, witchcraft on stage. And a lot of it's just a cool comedy where they're like, zing, zing, and it's happening with um, witches putting little ideas into people's brains, which turn out to be other witches. Haha. A witch family is marrying another witch family. We didn't know. We didn't know either. Oh, what a big surprise. That's the comedy, which is a good one. So it's a new place, so I don't want to rat them out. But they suddenly have a yearning for things to move on stage in that sort of bewitched way where, things are floating and it's like, and they're doing very well. So, but they've spent their money on great costumes, wonderful cast, and a single set and they had a wonderful scenic painter spruce it up. It looks amazing, and not too overdone. It's mostly about the acting and the comedy and the zinging. That's the majority of the play. So it's a little late in the day, and the budget is spent. They didn't budget for any super special effects. And what would those be? Because they don't really care about lines referring to the item floating across, it's just things that happen that are magic. That's a nice idea. And the reaction to it, that's a nice idea. What could they do? What could they do? So I'm watching this online and I'm remembering uh, a couple of things. I'm remembering a book I saw, and it was written in the 80s. It is called Traps, Tricks, and Transformations. It's all about illusionists and theater in the Victorian era. So it's much more than the Victorian era. It's basically 1800 to about 1950. Okay. And it just sort of centers on the UK and what they did there, a little bit about Holland and France, and I think Germany. So a lot of wonderful low tech things happened, which were wonderful. And I think that maybe in this day and age where we have bigger shows and more advanced hydraulics and, Cirque du Soleil, which has moving stages that ripple and all kinds of things, and, things like Phantom of the Opera, I think we expect more, but do we? When we see a play that is mostly comedy and there need to be some tricks in it, and we see that it's one costume per person and that it's one unit set, I think that we're sort of going into that suspense of disbelief that this is what's happening. We know there's not a lot of bells and whistles. They look fantastic. The acting is fantastic. The set is not going to change. So, whatever little tricks they do are still impressive. So, where do you look? There's not enough things in that book to really do what these people want to do. Again, it's late in the game. But what do they want to do that would satisfy the audience? Is it tongue in cheek? If it's tongue in cheek, the magic things that have wires lifting them would be funny. But what if they don't want to do that? What is left that we know about? And are we not looking into the past, which we should, to see what theaters did before the modern era of hydraulics and all kinds of things? And I don't know when that came about. I suppose after the 1960s or 70s, theaters started spending more money on those kind of things to impress. And they are impressive. But what if those things go wrong? As so many theaters have, especially a repertory theater. And a repertory theater, if you don't know, is a theater that does, say they have one theater and they do Macbeth in the afternoon and they do Importance of Being Earnest in the evening. Well, that set has to change. And no matter how many times they perform the duties that the show has to do as a test before the show, it is still taking the machinery and picking it up and putting it back down, you know, maybe 50 times over the season. And anything could go wrong. Even if you test all the machinery perfectly and it works the entire show, maybe the last trick won't work. Do you have something in place that's low tech that achieves the same thing as this trick? Do you have a plan B? You should always have a plan B. And what if you choose something low tech that can achieve something similar and we just expect our audience to go for it because it's still impressive? And again, if it doesn't work, the low tech thing, then you still have something to back it up. Okay? What are these low tech things that the Victorians used that always worked? Because the mechanics to use it were less. They were people powered or anything. And as an audience, watching this channel, do you know of websites or I think a lot of us basically do what we hear from other theaters, have tested out. And we count on, theater groups on Facebook or other social media sites to say, I have this problem. What did you guys do? Ooh, that's interesting. When you look at shows like Little Shop of Horrors, it always works because it's puppetry manned by humans. And the puppetry is not too complicated. I mean, it is, but it's not. It's like watching The Lion King. It always works because there are dancers in those puppetry costumes that know what they're doing, and it's not that complex. There's no hinges to suddenly go rusty or not turn this direction they hope they can turn every time. Do you see what I mean? And there's always a backup for shows like that. Having had a friend in The Lion King, I know there's always understudies and there's always backups ready to go if anything goes wrong. Okay? But what if it's a magic show and you're counting on this one trick, this one focus over here, and it goes wrong? Can we low-tech it? What does that mean? And as playwrights and theater makers, are we choosing shows that have the item or the magic or the trick? Is it written into the script, or has the playwright left it to you? And as you examine this script, find, well, that's a weird one. I'm not sure how that could happen, but that's not up to me. That's up for props to figure out or the set to figure out. That has gone wrong several times. We should all be on the same page for something that's a surefire gimmick, trick, low tech. If this doesn't work the right way, it can go the wrong way and it'll still work. If it doesn't go either of those ways, there's also a plan C. I'm being confusing, but let me use an example. I saw a show that a friend of mine was the props person on, and in the show, which was a new play, there was an architectural model of a building that was supposed to be evil. Now, the scene progressed, it was the latter part of the play, and the way the scene progressed, the people realized they were dealing with some sort of spirit in these architectural models or these buildings that were cursed. Fun, right? And the scene was the man was supposed to try to kill the model, kill the maquette. And in the play, it was written that it'd be downstage near the audience. He kill it with a bat. It break apart. It light up, maybe smoke, and be self-contained because it was on a round table very close to the audience, really close. Don't bring weapons close to the audience. I mean, within 3 feet. That's a lot, but that's just me. So what was the answer? Because this show had to happen every night. Light up, hopefully smoke, not fall off the table, be smashed with a bat. Because it was a short scene, with the end of a scene, and it was right after the attack. Everything's supposed to be gone, whisked away, everything cleaned up, nothing on the floor, and it's supposed to do this every night. Am I confusing you? Well, it is confusing. Now, I believe that the playwright should have had something in the script saying, this is how I envision this to be done. Do what you think best. And the prop person suggested, well, building blocks that just collapse in a self contained wooden box, and the bat hits the edge of the box. Oh, no, no, we couldn't do that. How does it light up? I want something more elaborate. No, no, no. And there was a skirmish. Um, and it did not go well. In the end, what did they do? Exactly what he had told them to do, because they couldn't think of anything else. No one in the production team, not the director, not the writer who was there, could think of anything else to do that would satisfy all those needs. Not fall on the floor, be able to be beat, collapse, light up. See, there was lights at the bottom of the box, which is not what they wanted. They wanted the building to light up. If you're writing something that complicated or directing something that complicated, you have to look at this and not say, oh, someone else will take care of it. Usually, yes, these props can be taken care of by someone else. They are the designers. But if you have no idea going into it and you've chosen this script or you've written this script and you have created the impossible prop in the impossible situation, you have to have other ideas. Now, playwrights don't usually have detailed, itemized things in the back of their script saying this is how this was done. But maybe for those impossible things, they should, or have a backup. Or maybe it is some wonderful, amazing model of a building that lights up, that smokes, that's carried around. The person tries to break it, they can't, they get frustrated. Then there's a silhouette of the same model being beaten, which is, just some sort of easy thing behind the stage, blocks, whatever, and it's breaking. And you get the symbolism of the bat breaking the cursed model. Okay, the bat isn't near the audience. There is no cleanup because it's backstage. You get the effect you want. It can be louder, more violent, everything. They've seen the cursed model, which looks like $1 million, and we're satisfied. Or maybe not. But I think that flexibility is something that you need to think of when it's the impossible prop. And if you have the impossible situation, I have witches, I need a broom to fly in the air, but I don't want wires, and it's very close, the broom is very close to the audience. Well, what do you do? What do you do? Is there a lever in the wall that raises the broom against the wall? That is an old Victorian trick. So it's against the wall and just raises and lowers as if it's in midair. We get it. There's a stagehand lifting a lever behind, raising the broom. The effect is there. The audience is with you. Okay? We know what we're seeing. It's like when these small theaters do Mary Poppins and they get mad because they can't fly her in on stage. That's something from the movie or from the big budget musical, and that's not you. You don't have the budget, you don't have the fly system, or you don't have the money to buy a harness to fly her. You realize that she never leaves the stage in the beginning, and you don't want to have a person in a harness that has to be unhooked once she gets to the family, because she's basically attached to that line that drags her up and down. Okay, there's a lot of parameters, so be flexible with your ideas. Look to the past and look for those websites and books and groups online that can talk about what those tricks were, and realize that that's good enough. It's stage. We're not the movies. It's stage. And you don't have the budget, but you can still do something. And any theater of any size, of any budgetary parameters, may want to not spend their money on tricks like that. Paying your people is more important to you, and the tricks are less impressive. But have a look at those old tricks. Search those books, search those websites, do your research. Those tricks are probably amazing, and people get it. I think the broom against the wall going up and down in the air is wonderful. Okay, and they love it. Ooh, ah, it's just amazing. Let it be what it is. Okay. So if you have comments about books you've seen or websites you've seen that talk about this early theater, whatever early theater means, and to you, and it's a low tech trick, a low tech illusion, share them with us. We all want to know. Okay, we all want to make better theater. Okay, that's enough for today. Good luck to you out there. I hope your shows are selling in this early part of the season, early part of the year, January, February. I hope those shows are selling out well. Okay? All right. We'll talk again. Thanks.